Well, there's a saying out there that if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And that's as true in Ireland as it is in any other part of the world. Well, a little bit of good news this Monday afternoon. Some savages have been taken off the streets following the parts they played in a vicious gangland murder coming off the back of another shooting incident. And of course, the courts have been, well, not exactly fast to act on this one. They've been doling out some sentences, which are quite frankly a joke, in my opinion. But hey, what do you expect? So let's get into this one here and see who's been up to what. So here we go. This is the headlines: behind bars, two teenagers jailed for 9 years for Tristan Sherry gangland murder. And in case you're wondering, the two individuals in the photograph, the one on the left has been jailed for killing the one on the right, and the one on the right was killed because he had shot someone else. So round and round it goes. The circle of violence is complete. They are the first two defendants to be sentenced following a landmark Supreme Court ruling earlier this year. So David Amah, David Amah on the left, and Tristan Sherry, who was killed after carrying out a gun attack in a Dublin restaurant. So the man who was shot and killed, we can see his picture down at the bottom of the screen. Jason Hennessy Snr, fatally wounded in Brown Steakhouse on December the 24th, Christmas Eve 2023. So the shooter was this chap Amah, and sorry, the shooter was this chap Tristan Sherry on the right, and the guy who then killed the shooter was the guy on the left, Amah. Before the trial commenced last year, the High Court found that a law requiring the pair face a mandatory life sentence term of imprisonment, can almost speak, should they reach 18 before their sentencing, was unconstitutional. Isn't that awful? Unconstitutional. Brutal murders, but we gotta take things into consideration here. They're also the first two defendants to be sentenced after a landmark Supreme Court ruling earlier this year that a life sentence is not mandatory in the case of a child murderer and should only be used in exceptional cases. Well, I don't know what you need for an exceptional case, but obviously Amah is not it. There he is, like an angel. This was actually taken, believe it or not, last year when Amah was allegedly 18 years of age. So he looks like he's lived a lot of life in his short 18 years in this photograph. But hey, there he is, David Amah, the guy who killed Hennessy Sr. Three other people were also uh, convicted, including Hennessy's senior son, Brandon Hennessy. That's him there, jailed for a combined total of 8 years. Amah, now aged 19, was convicted of murder. And also Justice Kerida Naidoo, the Judge Naidoo, sentenced Amah to 12 years with the final three suspended. He said Amah was 17 at the time and therefore not subject to mandatory life term for murder. Mr. Justice Naidoo said the offence didn't involve any pre-planning. Didn't involve pre-planning. What, it was just a random encounter, was it? And put Amah at a low risk of reoffending. A brutal 17-year-old killer, low risk of reoffending, and didn't look like any premeditation was involved. Well, try telling that to the victim, the deceased. So the judge imposed a similar sentence on an 18-year-old also convicted of the murder, but who can't be named because he was a minor when he first came before the court. Both Amah and the unnamed accomplice stamped on Tristan Sherry and stabbed him repeatedly. But hey, it wasn't pre-planned, so that's got to count for something, doesn't it? They didn't plan to stomp on this guy. They didn't plan to stab him repeatedly. It just kind of happened. No pre-planning involved, and certainly no chance of reoffending, or low chance of reoffending, according to Judge Naidoo. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't fancy being next door neighbours with this chap when he gets out, which will probably be sooner rather than later. Not deported, I would imagine, and kept at the Irish taxpayers' expense. Their actions were deliberate, said Naidoo. Very strange, deliberate but not pre planned. It took place on an unarmed, defenceless man lying on the ground. It was sustained and brutal, but it wasn't premeditated. It's very important. Justice Naidoo sentenced Hennesy Jr. to 4.5 years, with the last 6 months suspended. He accepted the killing of his father was a mitigating factor. Well, yeah, he was pretty hacked off that his dad had been shot by this guy, and then he got him. Another asset to the society, Jonas Kabangu of Court of Park in Blanchardstown, received a sentence of 4 years, with the final 12 months suspended for two. Justice Naidoo sentenced the third violent disorder defendant, an 18-year-old who can't be named because he was a child when he came before the courts, to 2 years and 4 months, with the final year suspended for 2 years. So there we have it. The circle of violence. And who knows, will it end with Amah and Gabangu being jailed and the third person who can't be named for legal reasons? They're going to get out eventually. Will they be targeted for a payback? I don't know. Will they be deported from Ireland, more importantly? I don't know that either. Who knows what state the country's going to be in by the time they get out? Maybe they'll get rehabilitated in prison. Maybe they'll learn their lesson. Or maybe they'll just lapse back into a life of crime and violence. But they're classed, or he's classed, as a low risk of reoffending. Yeah, like the judge knows a lot about this guy. Probably as much as I do, which is practically nothing. So there you have it. Gangland killing results in more death. Some folks are locked up for a few years, suspended sentences. They're soon going to get out. But Ireland's safe, folks. That's the most important thing to remember. It's a safe place, especially if you're in a steakhouse, having a steak on Christmas Eve. That could be your last day. It could be your last steak. So enjoy life every day, because sad to say, but the more these videos that I do, how far away are you from a lynching or a kicking or someone driving over you, or being the result of being in the wrong place at the wrong time? That's another thing that's said when people are murdered in Ireland: wrong place at the wrong time. But anyway, of course, as usual, feel free to share this content. Throw it out there, let people know what's going on in the towns, villages, cities, and steakhouses of Ireland. I'm No Risk, No Reward Media, Rick Munn. This is me for now, over and out.